Hi, this video is to help with the circumference of a circle. So circumference is a word we use just for circles that represents the distance around the outside. So circumference is similar to perimeter. When we talk about the perimeter of a rectangle, we're talking about the distance around the figure, which means add up all the sides. But because we have a circle and it's one curved segment, we have a different word to represent the distance around, and that is circumference. There are two common formulas that we use for circumference because one of the formulas uses the diameter and one of the formulas uses the radius. If you look at a circle, the distance from the center to one edge, that distance is called the radius. And then if you do the entire distance all the way across, you have, we use the word diameter to represent that. But what you should notice is that the diameter is just two groups of the radius. So the diameter is equal to whatever the radius is times 2. Now we could also say that if we cut the diameter in half, we would be finding the length of the radius. So that's the relationship between the diameter and the radius, and it's important to understand that relationship so that you can understand the two different ways you can find the circumference. The circumference is equal to either pi times the diameter or 2 times the radius. Again, knowing that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, that can just be replaced. Diameter can be replaced with 2 times radius times pi. So those are the two ways you can find the circumference, and you can choose whether or not you want to use the formula with the diameter in it or you want to use the formula with the radius in it. Oftentimes you'll hear 2 pi r for your circumference formula. That's the same thing as what we wrote above. We've just changed the order in which we're multiplying, and we know that multiplication is commutative, meaning that the order in which you multiply doesn't matter. So I just wrote it this way to show you that 2r is the same thing as the diameter because it takes two groups of the radius to go all the way across the circle, which is the diameter. So 2 times r is equal to the diameter. Something else you'll want to notice is where they tell you what to use for pi. Pi is an irrational number, therefore it is a repeating decimal. And there are two different ways we can approximate the value of pi. The more common one is 3.14. The fraction form of that is 22/7. So you have to be careful with what they actually ask you to use. So here they give me the diameter and they tell me to use 22/7 for pi. So I'm going to use the formula that uses the diameter. And I would have all of these formulas written down so that as you're working, you know which formula would work best. So here, since they give me the diameter and they tell me to use 22/7 for pi, to find the circumference of this circle, pi, which they're saying use 22/7 for, times diameter, which they're telling me the diameter is 35/2, that's how I find the circumference. You have a couple options here. You can simplify before multiplying. I see the numbers opposite of each other have a common factor. 35 and 7 are both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And 35 divided by 7 is 5. So I can divide across before multiplying. So I'm just doing my simplification before I multiply, rather than multiplying, getting really big numbers, and having divide at the end. I also see that I could divide this way by 2 2 divided by 2 is 1. 22 divided by 2 is 11. Now when I multiply straight across, 11 times 5 is 55. 1 times 1 is 1. 55 divided by 1 is 55. So my circumference is 55 centimeters. And I did not have to round because I got an exact number. Okay, so keep those formulas in mind. And let's look at another problem. A high school track is shaped as a rectangle with a half circle on either side. Jake plans on running 1 lap. How many meters will Jake run? Well, we can look at this and know that Jake is running this distance and this distance. So that's 2 groups of 96. But then he's running the circumference of a circle. And again, I'm going to call that a full circle just because if I put 2 halves together, that would make a whole. So I've got the top portion, this horizontal portion here, and this horizontal portion here, plus the circumference of the circle. And again, circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r, or pi times diameter. Well, this distance represents the distance across the circle. So I know that the diameter is 35. And it's the diameter because it goes all the way from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle. So I'm going to use the formula pi times diameter. So this would be 35 times 3.14. And that would give me, if I added all this up, I'm going to multiply first to find my circumference here. Then I'm going to add 96 twice to represent the 2 distances that are straight. Then I would find the meters of 1 lap. So you have to be careful if he's doing more than 1 lap, you would have to multiply your final answer by the number of laps he's running. But 96 plus 96 plus the circumference of the circle, pi times diameter, would give me the distance he runs for 1 lap. And then one more of those challenging questions that they give you. We have a circular swimming pool, has a radius of 28 feet, and there's a path around the pool that is 4 feet wide. So that means this path right here is 4 feet no matter where we look. That path is 4 feet wide. Anywhere I go or from the pool, that path around the pool is 4 feet wide. A fence is going to be built around the outside edge of the pool path. So that fence is going to enclose the pool path and the pool all inside. How many feet of fencing, about how many feet of fencing are needed to go around the pool path? And here again, we're using 3.14 for pi. So I need to determine either the diameter or the radius. And they told me that the radius of the pool is 28, but because that path is extending it by 4 feet, I'm going to find the radius by adding 28 plus 4. So here the radius is 32 feet. The radius of the pool plus the width of that path. Since I'm using radius, I'm going to go ahead and use the formula that is 2 times pi times radius. 2 times 32 is 64, and 64 times 3.14 would give me the amount of fencing needed to go around the pool path. Thank you.